Welcome back. This is the Egg Adventure episode number 3, and I did mention last time we will be exploring a recipe from our iconic chef from France, Fernand Point, someone that lived in the 1900s, from the time that Escoffier was still alive, and he's one of the most renowned icons in French cooking, a huge giant, almost 2 meters high, 165 kilo, owning a restaurant called The Pyramid in Vienna. And he had a big temper. He was known to refuse access to his restaurant and refuse to cook for you if he didn't like you, because celebrities, painters, and all the well-known people were always flocking to his restaurants. And he's even thrown out some people middle of the service because they surely had a bit of an argument. But he was a lovely man, loved his food, loved wine, and loved champagne. He had a nickname called Magnum because it is known that apparently he was going and drinking an entire magnum of champagne every single day in his restaurant. He just loved champagne. But we're here to talk about his book here. This is a book that's been republished recently. It's called Ma Gastronomie. Previously impossible to find, and by miracle it's been republished and I got my hands on it so you can have an idea of his style of cooking. Totally different than Escoffier. Doesn't give you any grammage or any details. He expects you to know your stuff. It is not at all a book for beginners, let me tell you, if you want to get this, only in French for now. Okay, so we're going to try to get one of these egg recipes because everything it has is a bit special. Okay, so I took something special but quite simple. It's called the gratin d'œuf. It's a baked egg dish. Okay, so it's based on hard-boiled eggs that are cooked in a mixture of Béchamel, Hollandaise sauce, topped up with mushrooms that are cooked in white wine and then broiled into the oven. It sounds interesting, but the best thing is to revive the recipe and make it. So if you're ready, apron on and we're there. So just to show you that I'm not pulling this out of a hat, the recipe we're going to make is the gratin d'œuf that you can see here, and it's an opportunity for you to see what does a professional recipe look like when it's a recipe made by a chef that expects the cook to know its stuff. It's this, okay? The recipe is 4 lines. It's just tell you the outline and there's no measurement or grammage or technique explained whatsoever. Hopefully I'll give you a bit more information, okay? Let's look at the ingredients. Now, because of the sheer amount of technique that is going to be needed here, I can't demonstrate every single thing, and some of the things you're going to have to do yourself, and this is some of the things we've seen in the series already. Starting with the first element, it's going to be hard-boiled eggs cooked at 9 minutes. I'm going to do this off camera. This is element number 1. Element number 2, we're going to be making a Hollandaise sauce, a simple one, and we're going to use the Bocuse version that does not use clarified butter, but a kind of a softish type of butter. You will see it's fairly easy to do. As a little side note, Paul Bocuse was a student that studied under Fernand Point. Okay, so it's the same styles of cooking. Third element, mushroom, classic technique, a little bit of butter, and we're going to let them sweat, white wine, very simple. The last element, the fourth element, is going to be the Béchamel. So we've seen this the last time. You can make it on your own, and I'm just going to show you how to transform it into a sauce crème, which is simply an addition of cream in there. The one advice I can give you for the Béchamel when you make a preparation that relies on it, you want a tasty Béchamel. So cold roux to start with, hot milk, flavored. Nutmeg, salt, pepper, shallots, bay leaf, thyme. You can use onion if you want. Okay, don't worry, I'm going to take you through the steps as much as I can. Let's begin. The best way to tackle this recipe is really to start making all of the things that you can prepare in advance. So we're going to be starting, as I told you here, with the hard-boiled eggs. This is going to be 9 minutes on the clock. Then I'm going to put them in cold water, and after the cold water, 10 minutes, and then we're going to be able to peel them. Okay. Second element, the Béchamel. I did mention that we're using a cold roux, so my roux is made, so flour and butter together. It's cooked for 2 minutes, it's cooling down on the side, and I'm flavoring my milk. So I'm gonna gently put this on the heat. The milk has been seasoned with salt, white pepper, and I've got all this other stuff in there that is gonna really heavily flavor my milk. This is the key to a tasty Béchamel, okay? So as soon as this is done, I'm gonna use this to make my Béchamel. I'll just show you how we transform this into a sauce crème afterwards. Third element that you can prepare in advance is, of course, the mushroom. The mushroom needs to be white cooked. It means that they are sweated in butter. I'll show you this in a bit. And usually you can add just water, salt and pepper. But here, Fernand Point is using white wine. Okay, so it's going to be quite interesting. Typically, you want to keep your mushroom white. You need to get really young mushroom that are not black. I did not get that. As you can see, it is not super white. What you can do in this case, the interior will still be, a little bit dark. But what I tend to do is to try to peel off the first skin of the mushroom. Okay, so you're going to go through and very gently try to peel off. You see the skin on here? So you see how white it becomes? Because I want to conserve that kind of whiteness. Now the mushroom have to be sliced. You can see they're nice and white and then not too bad on the inside. So you take a knife and you go through and you want to have rather thin slices. And you don't want something too thick because otherwise to eat is going to be a bit odd. Okay, so this is the kind of slices that we want. So there we have it for the white cooking of the mushroom. I've got some butter in here. I'm going to add my mushrooms. And typically, when they're going to render some water, we're going to season them. And in a normal time, we add water and a bit of lemon to keep that whiteness. Now, interestingly here, Fernand Point adds wine. And here, typically it's water, but here it's an acidic wine. I'm going for a dry wine here. And we're going to bring this to a simmer and leaving to cook gently, 5 or 10 minutes. It's usually enough. Interestingly here with the wine, I think it's really going to infuse that flavor, the wine flavor into the mushrooms we're going to find in the dish later. So there we have it. 3 elements are ready. We've got the eggs that are boiled, the mushrooms are cooked, and I've got my base bechamel. The first thing I'm going to do here is to taste. Okay, you want flavor. Nice and tasty. And to transform this into a sauce crème, you're going to put roughly half the amount of milk, but here I'm going to start. I had 250 ml of milk. I should put a bit more than 100 ml, but I'm going to start with 100 ml of cream. All right, so this is the sauce crème. As you can see now, it is very liquid. It's got a big coating power. It's a beautiful sauce, which is cream, enhanced with the flavor and the thickness of the bechamel. The one thing to be careful of is not to lose the taste you've been building in the bechamel by adding too much cream. That is very, very important. So always, I've got 100 ml, I'm going to taste. It's silky, it's delicate, it's got the perfect amount of flavors, perfect thickness. I'm going to keep it here. I'm not going to add any more cream, okay? So now that you've reached that point, you just got one element to make, and this is the Hollandaise sauce. My advice is when you reach this milestone, take the time to clean up your workbench, your surfaces, your chopping board, put away all the things in the dishwasher. Make sure you get plenty of space because once the Hollandaise is ready, it is basically time to serve. And you're not going to want to be thinking or having anything like this. So it's like in a restaurant, you got all the components. When the Hollandaise is done, we're going to assemble, broil, serve. We're using the Paul Bocuse style of Hollandaise, which is freshly squeezed lemon juice, white wine vinegar. I'm using apple cider vinegar here, an egg yolk, some water, cubes of butter. You're going to need a pan, another saucepan to make a double boiler to make the Hollandaise. Let's go. So remember, you've got everything ready. You got the mushroom, the eggs are peeled, they're ready to be sliced. You got the sauce crème, you got the dishes, you got the oven ready with the broiler. We're making the Hollandaise. It's actually even easier than I remembered. We're just going to add the vinegar. If you want, you can add a little bit of water to make things a little bit easier because we need to start the emulsion straight with the egg yolk that we've got here. Okay, egg yolk, bit of pepper, bit of salt. Okay, break this, and this is directly on the simmering water. And we start. You see that foamy mixture with the heat? It goes very fast, so don't spend tons of time in there. I'm trying to keep you on the camera just to show you. So as soon as we got a bit of a foamy mixture, directly we're going to start to add the cubes of butter. And we're going to reduce my heat. You don't want to overheat anything because things can get really fast. So remember, the butter needs to be kind of soft. Okay, you have to multitask a little bit. It's melting. We're going to add a little bit of the lemon juice in there. And if it gets too hot, you can add a little bit of cold water in there. And we're going to keep on going. Okay. I've turned my heat off, and the last cube of butter just went in. Okay, and this is gonna be the result. You see, it's a no fuss hollandaise. It's something I've been using in our cookbook, and this is how you make it. So now it's ready. I'm gonna show you how it looks like. Okay, got something nice and creamy, ready to go. Up, we're done. Now for the assembly, you take your hard-boiled egg. You can see it's just perfectly cooked, and you use that egg slicer that I used the last time. Here it is. Okay, you can see it there. Okay, and you slice the eggs. I'm using 3 eggs. I think 1.5 eggs per portion should be enough. And now we need to warm this up into our sauce. So let's finish the sauce. All right, so moment of truth. I hope you're excited as I am. We need to start with the sauce crème that is in here. Okay, and it is said, I've got the heat on, that we need to warm up the eggs. I don't even know how many I need. We need to warm up the eggs in the sauce. That's odd. Okay, so very gently. We're gonna have a very low heat. I don't want to destroy the egg, and I'm gonna leave this to really warm up. I'm gonna add a touch of cream, because it's been evaporating a little bit, but that's about it. Now that starts to be really interesting. My mushrooms are warm, and I'm gonna add a little bit of the cooking juice, I think, from the mushroom, which is actually delicious now. Okay. And it says to bind the whole lot with some Hollandaise sauce in there. Can you imagine? So maybe just to shake the pan, like you can't even touch this thing. I'm gonna have to, so lier, to bind, huh? So we need to do that circular motion. I need to try this immediately. Quick, a spoon. It's an interesting texture. I can still taste the majority of the bechamel. I'm gonna actually go all in and make a big statement here with the Hollandaise, because we've made that Hollandaise. I'm not gonna let it go away. And I want to have that mixture of taste between Hollandaise / sauce crème. There we go. Look at that. Now we're talking. So now you have the eggs, the bechamel, and on the part you got the Hollandaise. I think a hint of seasoning in there, and that's it. And then we've got the mushroom with the wine. So let's assemble. Well, let's dress this up. So it is said to first have a layer of these eggs. They've kind of dismantled a little bit on here, so you have to take a spatula. I think, you see, I haven't done a good job. I think the slices should have been laid out really neatly, kind of thing, but we've got the idea. Now the mushrooms, it is said to add some of the mushroom on there. They have such a good taste, to be honest. The combination of butter, the butter with the wine and the mushrooms, absolutely beautiful. So let me rearrange this off camera. Almost forgot, it says just before a grind of salt and pepper on top. Finish off with a little bit of the sauce, and then we can broil. So in the broiler, so just the top element, we're not cooking the eggs, maximum power, we want to get some color, and that's it, and we're gonna try. Le gratin d'œuf from Fernand Point is just out of the oven, and I can finally confirm something that I've seen in many of my culinary textbooks, that when you mix bechamel, whatever, with a Hollandaise sauce, what's happening, most importantly, is you get that. You immediately get that kind of, gratin effect. So it browns evenly, you get that kind of color, and I think this is due to the egg yolk. And I understand now why there is a Hollandaise sauce in here. I think the main purpose on here is to give that effect, because when you bring this to a table, you're like, wow, okay, I'm not making this at home typically. So, verdict. Now let's dig in. Huh? So you've seen the whole process, huh? So there's no, so we've got basically a little gratin with the mixture of, it's gonna be really hot. I was kind of almost burned myself, but you see how creamy it is inside? So I'm gonna get a bit of the sauce, a bit of the eggs, and what I want to have here, most importantly, is the mushrooms. Yeah. Now, as I expected, well, first off, it's delicious. But the mushroom, they're like wine sponges, and they bring the whole dish together. I mean, it repairs the textures like a layer of eggs, and then you got the bechamel. You can feed the Hollandaise, but that wine infusion with everything. Look, and the occasional egg. You can put more eggs if you want. It's like so easy to eat this. Wow. Well, guys, I'm really happy to report that it was, not a story, not a legend. Fernand Point, his recipe really brings something special. You can feel the experience, the layers of taste. Definitely something that you could find in a restaurant. This is not something you're gonna have just like this quickly at home, not in a cafe. It is a restaurant, it's almost fine dining kind of experience, and just using hard-boiled eggs. Quite a few steps, but to be honest, with the little quick ways with the Hollandaise, and when you do things off camera, if you were to do this at home for a special dinner with friends, you can make it in advance, you can have the mixture, you can plate it, it broils really in minutes. It's not hard to make, and you're gonna really bring something truly special. Hail Fernand Point. Now to finish, the last thing I'd like to say is that really that food recipe showcased how cooking aids can be taken to a whole new level. And if you try that recipe, let me know what you think in the comment section. Remember that knowing your culinary basic can go a long way in such situation when you're faced with recipes that don't give you much, but you can still take them out of their box, make them revive the recipe, and it's an absolute joy when you try them. Anyway, I'll leave you with this picture, and I will see you next time for another egg recipe on the French Cooking Academy. Take care all. Bye-bye.
My